How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is a brand new build video for the Nightblade. It's a 1-bar Magicka Nightblade called Status Pro. Technically it's a mag blade, but it does have medium armor. Now this is designed for all PvE content regardless of how difficult it is, but it is designed to focus on single target damage in the form, surprise, of status effects. Now there are variations to this which will enhance your survival, but generally speaking, this is a single target build. If you want to go for AoE stuff, there are options for that as well. But all of that stuff is going to be in the video, so stay tuned. It's all coming up. So first of all, we're going to go into the stats as per usual. It's quite simple. We put our potion on and we're done. That's it. That's all we need to do. Now the character sheet is a little different to what you might expect in combat sometimes, so we're just going to proc this real quick. For those of you that don't know what the hell I'm doing, this makes sense. And for those that don't worry. So we are on 36.1k max Magicka, 24.2k max health, and 14k max stamina. Magicka recovery is on 1k, and stamina recovery is on 1k also, with health recovery just short of 600, or just over. Crit chance is on 56%. That can actually go higher than 60% in content if you've got a sorcerer using Minor Prophecy. We've got 5.2k, almost 5.3k max spell damage, and weapon damage, of course. Now, they can actually go higher if you are in content with buffs and bonuses from your group, but flat out for us, that's what we're sitting with. Spell pen is actually fairly good. It's not on the higher end, but with a couple of buffs and bonuses in your group, it's quite easy to hit pen cap, especially with the new destruction staff passives, specifically with one of the skills we're using. Resistance wise, we're sitting on almost 20k on the spell resistance and almost 18k on the physical resistance. That can be enhanced with buffs and bonuses from your group, whether it be flat resistances from certain sets, which can go very, very high, or just a minor resolve buff to push you over the 20k mark. Either way, we've got a healthy amount as it stands, and that stays with us all the time. With us being a 1-bar build, taking advantage of the Oaken Soul Ring, we do actually have constant uptime on our own resistance buffs, so we don't actually have to apply one. We've got 64 points into max Magicka, max health, max Magicka food, the flat stuff. And if you are struggling with resources, it's quite simple. Heavy attack. Failing that, you can go for recovery food if you want, but that is a choice. It's up to you. It depends on how your group is resource management-wise. But bear in mind, you will have to heavy attack anyway, because it's a nice bonus coming from the flame stuff that we're using if you do. Everything else, all this stuff on here is with you 100% of the time. And of course, we've got the Thief Munda Stone. So now we're going to go into the skills, I guess. Nice and simple stuff. Basically, we've got 5 major abilities and an ultimate. 1-bar builds can't use 2 bars because the bar is locked with this particular ring that we're using. So we only use 1 bar. Now the trick is to decide what you need to sacrifice out of all the cool skills and what you want to gain from the ones that you only have left, basically. Now the build is designed specifically to take advantage of certain things, so these are done on purpose. But there are 2 variants to the build where you can have one which is a bit more AoE and more survival, and the other which is a bit more single target. We're going to go over the single target version first, and then we'll get to the alterations afterwards. So, Debilitate, first of all, is in the Siphoning skill line. 3rd ability you unlock starts off as Cripple, morph it to Debilitate. Now, yes, of course, you could argue that the other ability, the other morph of this, actually has some upfront direct damage, which is quite nice, but the damage over time for this does actually apply Overcharge status effect every single time it fires. That gives Magicka back for you and the group for hitting that target, and at the same time, that does actually do damage per tick because the status effect applies Overcharge. The Overcharge hit does do damage. With our passives, we actually do more damage with this than we used to in the past because the Flame Staff was altered. So every single tick, not only do we do damage from the skill, but we also do the damage from the extra status damage that we apply. That will make more sense when we get to the Destro stuff. But keep this up. It lasts for 20 seconds. Nice and easy. Barb Trap, if you can get close enough, obviously you want to take advantage of this. It's in the Fighters Guild skill line. It is the last ability you unlock. Starts off as Trap Beast, morph it to Barb Trap. Now, this does cost stamina, so it doesn't really affect our Magicka pool, but it does scale off of our highest resources and highest damage output. So, weapon and spell damage, whichever's highest, and of course, Magicka or stamina, whichever's highest. The cost is stamina. So, this does scale off of our Magicka stats. This does apply an instant hit when it lands, which takes a second and a half to wind up, and it will immobilize the target if they can be immobilized. That instant hit is a bleed damage effect, so it can apply hemorrhage if you're lucky. But also, the bleed that follows lasts for 20 seconds, and you get minor force. Technically speaking, we've got minor force anyway, so that's not important, but the bleed is very, very high. So you do want to put this on the target if you can. At the same time, this skill has a heightened chance of hemorrhage status effect every tick, so it's not just that it can hit on the initial, but it can hit consistently throughout the actual dot itself. It's very powerful, it is boosted by the Flame Staff, as is the status effect. So we want to make sure both of these damage over time abilities are on the target at all times. They both last 20 seconds, they're really easy to apply, and they're really easy to maintain. The next skill used to be very complicated. Now it's much, much easier. This is the last ability you unlock in the Assassination skill line. It's called Grim Focus. Morph it to Relentless Focus. This particular one is more beneficial to our weapon and spell damage overall. And it does have a nice heal with it. Basically, what you do is you don't have to activate this skill anymore. It just has to be on your bar. Even if you're on 2-bar builds, by the way, this can be on your back bar and it will still apply. You don't have to press anything anymore. Doesn't matter where it is, you always get this benefit. So, while slotted on either bar, you actually generate stacks when you do light and heavy attacks. Light attacks generate 1 stack, heavy attacks generate 2. All you need to do is get to 5 if you want to maximize it. And if you do get to 5, you'll be given 400 weapon and spell damage while this is lit up and flashing. Now, if you apply the skill, you will actually consume the stacks after 5. You'll do a large amount of damage in single target for a single hit, but you will also heal for 37% of the damage done if you're in melee range. So it does have a 28 meter range for the damage, but you can apply it very, very close, up to 7 meters, and get a big heal from it. Now, there's 2 ways to apply this. You can basically, or 2 ways to use it. You can basically build it, fire it, or you can build it, and keep it. If you want to keep it, you'll maintain 400 weapon and spell damage consistently. It will never, ever run out. But if you fire the bow, it winds back down to 0, and you've got to wind it back up again. The choice is yours. As far as single target damage is concerned, technically speaking, if you are firing the bow every so often, you will actually benefit from a slight increase to DPS. But if you're struggling with rotations and you're not quite sure what you're doing, or you just want to have an emergency heal on tap, then just keep the bonus, never fire it, and your DPS will only suffer by about 3k. Your consistency is actually there. You'll have less dips. It would just mean that you've got an emergency heal when you want it. So basically, slot it, build up the stacks, fire it, or forget it. Your choice. Crush and Shock, very simple. There is one scenario, there might be another, I don't think there is, one scenario where you have to be very careful about this, and if you're already in there, you already know this anyway, so this is borderline irrelevant for most people. There is one fight in particular in this entire game, which is the hard mode Sunspire last boss, where you're fighting the statues. Obviously, you don't want to interrupt those, because if you do, they'll go immune, and then you have to wait for them to come out of their phase again. That will make more sense if you take yourselves over to the Sunspire guide. It's the only time that is a problem. If you are in that scenario and you are happening to use this build, then of course you can change the morph. Outside of that, this is brilliant for all content. So, Destruction Staff skill line, first ability to unlock, nice and easy. Starts off as Shock Force, morph it to Crushing Shock. The other morph does apply damage in area of effect if other surrounding targets are already affected by a status effect. And also, it costs more. This one, however, single target, exactly the same single target damage. There's no difference. It's cheaper to cast, and every single time you cast it, if an enemy is channeling, you will interrupt them from long range. And you will set the target off balance, which is very helpful for you, for your heavy attack bonuses, and for everybody else in the group as well. So basically, this is your main spammable on this build. Don't use it on VSS hard mode on the last boss. Change the morph. Everywhere else, absolutely fine. Now, this is just a full-out utility and damage skill all combined. It's going to save a lot of hassle in lots of content that you may be unfamiliar with, especially if interrupt mechanics happen. Because even if you don't know what's going on, you will interrupt them by default, and you will save people a lot of trouble. And finally, Impale. This is from the Assassination skill line. First ability to unlock starts off as Assassin's Blade, morph it to Impale. 28 meter range, and the lower the health of the target, the more damage you do. This costs Magicka, obviously, it does magic damage, and it deals up to 330% damage for enemies under 25% health. So do not cast this before then. When they're 25% health and below, you can start spamming this instead of Crush and Shock. Although, I'm going to get to that in a rotation, there is a reason you might want to still use this. But, generally speaking, you keep up the rest of your dots, and you spam the hell out of this. Nightblades are designed to take advantage of single target abilities, and one of the most powerful that they have is their Execute. At low health, you are a finisher. Other classes have executes that do gradually get stronger, obviously, over time, but their checkpoint for that is a little bit earlier. They can start earlier, they gradually get stronger. You escalate at low health. Your job is to finish the target off. So do not use anything at execute apart from that, unless certain things happen. I'm going to explain that again when we get to the gear. There are ways to utilize this during execute, but generally speaking, if you want to keep it simple, just spam the hell out of this. Incapacitate and Strike, of course, is our main ultimate. This ultimate is very simple. You basically activate it. It does direct disease damage to that target, and that target will take 20% more damage from you for the next 8 seconds. While slotted, you gain Reeve, which will increase your Magicka and Stam recovery, because you'll get 100 of each back every time you light or heavy. So there's resource management and damage all at the same time. Failing that, of course, you can use the other morph, which gives you ulti back per kill, but you won't have Reeve, so the choice is yours. Now, passives. Obviously, this is very important. So, this increases your physical and spell penetration against enemies while you are flanking. So, if you're behind the target, you get almost 3k extra pen. That does stack with Minor Breach, Major Breach, and the passive penetration bonuses that we already have. Also increases the duration of stun from sneak. That's not important. So, if you can stand behind the target, you will benefit. When an enemy dies within 2 seconds of being damaged by you, you restore 1000 Magicka and stamina. So as long as you've hit something and it's about to die, you will get resources back. Alongside Reeve, that's actually pretty good. You won't benefit from that on the dummy if you're practicing, but you will see that in real content. Increases your weapon and spell crit rating, so our crit chance, by 4, 3, 8 for each assassination ability slotted. As you can see, we actually have 3, so we benefit from 1.3k. As far as crit chance is concerned, 219 is 1%. I know there's still skew if with the numbers, but that's 1%. Hemorrhage, of course, is a very important passive. Increases your critical damage by 10%. So we've got a nice crit damage bonus with us already. Just for having an assassination ability slotted. So all we need is our ultimate or our execute or whatever, but we've got 3, so it doesn't matter. And dealing critical damage grants you and your group minus savagery, increasing your weapon crit rating by 1,314 for 20 seconds. Increase your health, stamina, and Magicka recovery. Casting a shadow ability grants major resolve. We don't need to worry about that one because we've got major resolve all the time with our set anyway, so ignore that completely. Increases your health if you have a shadow ability on your bar, which we don't. Increases the duration of your non-invisibility based shadow abilities. We don't have any of these on our bar, so you don't actually have to use any of these passives apart from this recovery bonus. But if you do decide to put Twist and Path on, then of course you can take advantage of these too. They will give you a longer duration and you'll get more health, so you're a bit tankier. That is a variation that we can go over when we get to the gear because it depends on what gear we're using as to whether that's important or not. Failing that, in fact, if you are not close enough to use Beast Trap and you find that it's never being utilized, watch your resource management, obviously, because we're now introducing a Magicka skill, but you could trade it off for that. Siphoning, obviously, is very important as well. After drinking a potion, you get 20 ultimate back. So drink your potions. Don't let them sit there doing nothing. You are a Nightblade. Take advantage of that passive. Increases your maximum Magicka by 8% for having a Siphon ability on your bar, which we do have. We have Debilitate. And increases your healing done while you have abilities on this bar as well. We've got 1, so we've got the 3% bonus. And casting a Siphon ability gives you 2 ultimate, and that can happen once every 4 seconds. We're only going to cast this once every 20, but if you do cast it, you get ulti back. Distraction Staff has changed. Tri-Focus. A fully charged Inferno Staff heavy attack now gives you a damage over time effect on the target for 20 seconds. A 25k dot based on how we're built up at the moment. And yes, that can crit every tick. And yes, that can be boosted by other stuff. Very powerful. You will need to heavy attack occasionally. See if you can keep an eye on off balance. So off balance is easy to spot. If you look at this target dummy at the moment, he's got some buffs and bonuses above his head. You're looking for a blue background with a headshot with some stars going around the head, basically. You can see there on the far left-hand side, that is off balance. During that period of time, if you heavy attack, you'll do 70% more damage from Empower. You'll do 70% more damage from the off balance, because they do work together, although Empower is with you all the time anyway. And you will actually get back double resources. That is probably your best time to be heavy attacking, because you'll get the most out of your DPS all in one push, and it won't negatively impact your overall rotation. So you can put the dot on, you can refresh it if you like, and you can take advantage of all those nice bonuses at once. Just to recap on that, by the way, it's 70% extra damage because of off balance, but we've got Empower all the time anyway, and that is also 70%, and yes, they stack together. So if you just did a regular heavy attack without off balance, then you would just get your basic bonus for having Empower, but if it is off balance, you get both. Bear in mind, it does have a cooldown timer, where it says there you've got 7 seconds initially. It says 6, but the 0 counts. After that is over, you've got 15 seconds of immunity. So keep an eye on that marker there, the dude standing there looking really obnoxious. Once that's gone, then off balance can apply again. Other people can apply that, as can you, if you apply concussion inside shock wall. Depends on what your group is doing. There's lots of different ways to apply it. Now, moving on. The next passive is also buffed this particular update. You gain an extra 3k penetration, technically, from your destruction staff abilities. So your light attack, your heavy attack, and your crush and shock all have almost 3k pen. That is actually the same bonus as minor resolve, but they are not the same type. It's the same numbers, but they stack. It's not a minor buff. It's a unique one. So standing behind a target is almost 3k. Destruction staff ability is almost 3k. Minor breach is almost 3k. And that's 9k combined on top of the 2.5 that we already have without any buffs and bonuses in the group, just based on position and passives alone. It's very easy for us to gain penetration bonuses as a Nightblade, especially built with the destruction staff with the new update. Increases your chance to apply status effects by 100%. That doesn't mean 100% chance to do it. That means 100% chance of the base. So some abilities are 1%, some are 2, some are 5, some are 10, some are 20. You basically double it. Inferno staves, these were changed, increases your damage done with damage over time effects and status effects. So any status effect that you apply is 12% stronger, and any damage over time that you apply is 12% stronger. Yes, we're also talking about our heavy attack from our Inferno staff here. We're talking about debilitate, barb trap, including hemorrhage that comes from it, which is damage over time as well. And don't forget, it's a status effect. No, they don't double dip. It's one or the other, but you still get the benefit nonetheless. We've got 3 different types of damage from crush and shock. So very, very nice indeed. You've got 3 chances there to apply the status effect from that particular hit. That's going to go somewhere else when we get to the gear. We are focusing on pushing as much status effects as possible without oversaturating the chance. We've got a good chance. We haven't changed it to make it so it's all we've got. So we've got a good balance of direct, single target, damage over time, single target, and lots of different status effects. Like I said earlier, this has got hemorrhage. It's a damage over time. Hemorrhage is higher because it's status. This here is debilitate. Damage over time is higher. Overcharge every 1 second tick is higher. So we've got 2 very active damage over time abilities here that are buffed twice. One's for the damage over time and 2 for the status. Again, we'll get more into detail with that when it comes to the gear. And finally, of course, if you kill an enemy with a destruction staff ability, which you will, you get 3,600 Magicka back. So crush and shock spam or light attack or heavy attack. If you kill it with any of those skills, you'll get resources back. We are using 2 pieces of light armor because we're technically a medium build. These passives you want to get in your own time, obviously, they will take a little while to unlock, but once you've got them, you want to max them out. You get minor bonuses for each piece worn, so we're only going to get 2 out of the 7, but they're good nonetheless. So this will reduce the effectiveness of snares versus you and reduce the cost of sprinting. This will increase your mag recovery and reduction to cost for Magicka skills. This will increase your spell resistance, which is why that is higher than our physical. This increases your weapon and spell crit rating, and this will increase your physical and spell penetration bonuses per piece worn. Medium, we've got 5 pieces, so we've got 5 benefits to this. 10% increased critical damage done and healing done. Increased stam recovery. Reduction to cost for stamina abilities, which means our beast trap is cheaper. Stealth bonuses, which are not that important for PvE. Increases your weapon and spell damage by 2% for each piece worn, so that's another 10% increased weapon and spell damage. And increases our movement speed and reduction to cost for dodge rolls. So very agile bonuses there alongside some flat damage output. Heavy we're not using at all, ignore those. We are, of course, taking advantage of Fighters Guild abilities. We are using Beast Trap, so we do want to take the passives. Intimidating Presence will get the cost down. This will increase your weapon and spell damage for each ability slotted on that bar from this skill line. So we've got 1. And also, you get ulti back if you kill an enemy. You only need to kill 1 enemy for 3 ultimate, and our ultimate only costs 70, so it's really, really fast. Fighters Guild abilities deal additional 10% damage. And this doubles against players, which are vampires or werewolves. The player part is irrelevant, but the Fighters Guild bonus, the increase to damage, is actually quite nice. Bear in mind this one here, the ulti for killing stuff. You are built to execute things. Nightblades are finishers. If you see something weak, kill it. Mage Guild is irrelevant. Undaunted, obviously want these 2 passives here. This means any synergy you take will give you resources back, including a heal. Always take the synergies. Don't leave them sitting there. If it's on your screen saying take me now, press that button. I can't emphasize that enough. There's so many people that sit there hovering over synergies, not taking them because they think they're for somebody else. Every single player in the game can take a synergy, and they are on a 20-second cooldown when they do from that particular effect. Which means, if it's in the room again and you're on cooldown, someone else can take it. The more people take the synergies, the more they get used. I don't need to explain that, it's too much. Increases your health, magicka, and stamina by 2% for each type of armor worn. We are wearing 2 types, light and heavy. So we get 4% bonus. Nothing here. We are high elf, of course. You do not have to be if you don't want to be. You can be any race you like in the game. It's not going to dramatically affect the build. If you want more survival, you can go with an orc maybe, or a Nord, or Argonian, or whatever, or even on Imperial. Just bear in mind, obviously, you're going to alter some of your stats, so you have to compensate for that. That's all. Race is the least important part of a build, but we have chosen it for specific reasons. For a start, if we use Magicka abilities, we get 625 stamina back at least once every 6 seconds. That means our stamina bar is maintained, it's quite healthy, and that means we can block and dodge and sprint and all that good stuff if we need to. And if you're using a channeled effect, so a heavy attack, you will actually have damage mitigation. 5% bonus to damage mitigation. Yes, it's multiplicative, but you still get it nonetheless. You're looking at about, with our bonuses that we've got, you're looking at about 4%. Increases your maximum magicka by 2k, and increases your weapon and spell damage by 258. So flat damage bonuses here. We don't have any survival bonuses apart from, obviously, the channel effect, reduction to damage, but we do have flat damage. If you want to change race again, it's up to you. Bear in mind, obviously, we do need to take potions as much as possible, because obviously we get 20 ultimate every time we do so. Not only that, if you get medicinal use, your potions will last longer, which means they will outlive their cooldown, you'll get the most out of it. Always take your potions as soon as they're ready, but this passive is important to keep that bonus running all the time. We're actually using tripods, which is health back, stamina back, and magicka back all at once. At the same time, while they're active, you will get 30% increase of recovery for all 3 stats. So if you're one of those people that sit there and hold on to your potion forever, like it's really, really precious, waiting for yourself to lose health so you could quickly pop it, or waiting for your magicka to be really, really low so you can pop it and fill it up, you are doing it wrong. It does give you resources back, which is nice to top it up. The active part of the potion, the constant recovery, is what you need. If you pop a potion only when you're very, very low, 2 skills after that, you're going to run out again. It's about maintenance. Maintain those potions. Now, we have 2 different variants of the build. 1, the single target variant. Basically, you have Debilitate, Barb Trap, Relentless Focus, Crush and Shock, Impale, and Incapacitate and Strike. The reason for that is, don't be scared because you can do this on normal. We have taken advantage of the Asylum's Inferno staff. Yes, technically you could use the Lighten one. It doesn't really make a massive amount of difference, but you won't benefit from the status bonuses. You'll only affect your direct damage instead, and it actually did a bit less. So that one's answered for you. Poison damage. The glyph needs to be poisoned, because you can take advantage of all the nice status effects at once then. You've got Precise as well, giving us a crit chance bonus, and the perfected version of the weapon has 103 extra weapon and spell damage. The normal version does not. That's the only difference. The actual active effect is the same regardless of the quality of the weapon. Doesn't make a difference. Every second cast of Force Shock, so Crush and Shock, will always apply Burning, Concussion, and Chilled status effects. Now, each cast must be at least within 5 seconds of each other. So during execute, if you want to maintain those status effects, at least make sure you fire this twice every 5 seconds. So fire it once, up to 5 seconds, fire it again. Spam, 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 spam with execute, and then fire it again, and then continue. It's about looping it over and over and over, but that's up to you. Failing that, you can just spam execute, doesn't matter. But this basically, for using our spammable, will always apply those status effects, which gives us extra damage, because each one of those is 12% stronger. So it's not just a spammable on its own that can apply a status, it's a spammable that will and gives us more. We're using the Xan, Helmet, and Shoulders. Granted, this does need to be acquired on Vet Scalecaller, so get some practice in, take the All About Mechanics guide with you. There's a link in the description below for that. But if you can't get it, or you can buy it from Cyrodiil actually if you get lucky. But if you can't get it, don't worry, there's lots of different options for this. You can go with the more of Inferno if you want, because that works whether you're close range or long range. If you want to stay close range, of course, you could take advantage of Grofdar. And again, if you want to stay long range occasionally, which you can, just watch your Beast Trap, you can take advantage of Alambris or Stormfist or any of those other proc-based monster sets that just fire for the sake of doing damage. Xan did outperform those a tiny bit, but the choice is honestly up to you. I wouldn't recommend the Necromancer set from Unhallowed Grave, because you do have to light attack with this set. It didn't outperform Xan in any way, shape, or form, because Xan does actually fire a beam of fire, which will consistently fire a burn and status effect, and that did actually push it over the edge a little bit, because that constant extra burning damage, plus the fact it's damage over time anyway, did benefit from our passives with a flame staff. Now, we are using a set that obviously is from a trial. If you would like to, don't panic just yet. The perfected version has 1 extra stamina bonus. So you could argue that it's nice for our CC bar, but it doesn't enhance the damage. That stamina bonus gives you no extra DPS at all, 0. So you can acquire the normal version of the set. It's exactly the same throughout, exactly the same damage output, you'll just be 1k stamina less. So go on to normal Cloud Rest. Again, the guide for that is in the description below, but normal Cloud Rest, pick up Reliquant and put it on the body. Yes, we're using medium on the body. Divines on everything, Magicka on everything. So light, monster shoulder and helmet set, medium body set. If you want to go for Pillar of Nirn, you will get less DPS, but it's easy to apply. This particular set, though, does work in tandem with our rotation, because we must light attack and we must heavy attack. If you do, you will build up stacks of wind, and you can do it at short range or long range. So you're not at a disadvantage regardless of where you are in the room. You just have to actively maintain it. It will take practice. If you don't get very good at this, then you're going to struggle to keep up your ticks for your Relentless Focus anyway, and that is crucial to the build. So while I would normally tell you, don't wear this if you're not very good at it, I would say for the purpose of the build, so you can actually get out of it what you should, practice. Do put this on. Make sure you get your Relentless Focus ticks, then this will be with you all the time. It's very, very powerful, but as soon as you stop firing light attacks or heavy attacks, at least 5 seconds or more, you'll lose it. So maintain your lights and heavies above all. Now, the jewelry is the Oaken Soul Ring, which gives you all these buffs and bonuses all at once. You keep them all the time, which is the benefit we have for having the negative side of a 1-bar build, which is you only have 5 skills and an ultimate. So to compensate for that, they give us all these bonuses. Now, bear in mind, in content, obviously you bring these with you, but there's lots of other bonuses in content that people can still give you that you don't have. Now, of course, if someone gives you the same buff as you've already got, they don't stack. But if they give you separate buffs, they will stack with them. Willpower on the jewelry as well. The 2-piece bonus for this is absolutely massive. You've got almost 1.8k Magicka there. 1752. Just put them on. It's the highest Magicka bonus you're going to get from a 2-piece bonus anyway. Other bonuses I did try, and to be fair, there were minimal differences. There wasn't a massive amount, but this did give you the most. There were spell damage bonuses, crit bonuses, etc, etc, etc. It's really up to you. If you want to use something else, but the 2 willpower bonuses were really nice. No, we couldn't fit the 206 weapon and spell damage from the 3-piece, but it did give us a really nice 2-piece bonus rather than just filling it with random crap. Now, the other variant to the build, if you are struggling with your survivability, or if you don't have access to this particular weapon. Again, bear in mind, you don't have to go into veteran trials. You can get the normal version. What you can do is you can go into Maelstrom instead, but this does alter the build slightly. Doesn't technically alter your rotation too much, but it does alter the skills and the setup. Now, the setup itself, the body and the helmet and shoulders and the jewelry can stay the same, but the weapon you want to change to the Maelstrom Inferno Staff. This, you have the same trait and the same glyph, but your skills change. So your skills change to Unstable Wall of Elements and Swallow Soul. That way you could take advantage of the Wall of Elements, which is stronger with the Maelstrom weapon. And you could take advantage of a spammable that will heal you every 2 seconds based on the damage done. So you play it the same, although you don't have an interrupt, but you have 2 different skills. Damage output wise, the difference was about 2 or 3k. There wasn't a massive amount in it, but this did offer the opportunity to add some area of effect into the room, because we don't have any area of effect damage on our build generally as it is, but if you want to swap this stuff out, you can. If you are using this setup, however, and you want some AoE, then of course you can swap Debilitate for Twisting Path. You are going to suffer in single target by about 3 or 4k tops, but you are also going to contribute to more AoE stuff, and you're faster, so it's up to you. That will all be on the website. So to run down on the gear just quickly again, Precise on the front bar weapon, which is the only weapon we can use. Divines on absolutely everything, light monster helmet and shoulders, and medium everything else with Magicka glyphs, and Bloodthirsty with weapon and spell damage with mag recovery on everything on the jewelry. Now, of course, like I said, on the body, you can use Pillar of Nirn, or you can use a crafted set if you prefer. You will obviously see a DPS loss if you do that, but it won't be massive. If you can pick this stuff up eventually, then great. If not, it's not the end of the world either way. You can still play the build the same. Champion points. Easy stuff. So, Wrathful Strikes is the first slottable you want to gain as soon as possible. Get some points into here to unlock this tree. These white or yellow ones here are passives. You can have them on any of your builds. Every single build in the game can have one, and it won't actively negatively impact it at all. These are slottables that will massively impact your build depending on what you have. And what we've taken advantage of here is Wrathful Strikes, first of all. Deadly Aim for single target damage, which we've taken advantage of. Thaumaturge for damage over time, which we have an abundance of, both in our skills and status effects. And Untamed Aggression to benefit, again, much like Wrathful Strikes, all damage types. Yes, of course, we tried Master at Arms and all that good stuff, but this basically focused on only direct damage, and everything else wasn't pushed. But if you take advantage of these 2 weapon and spell damage bonuses, they push all types of damage. Status effects, damage over time, direct damage, the lot. So the balance was there, taking advantage of both of these stacking than it was to only specialize into specific areas. Deadly Aim obviously is separate from that because pretty much everything is on single target anyway, so that was fine. This particular skill line is quite simple, or champion point tree even. These don't require any prerequisites at all. So get all 3 of these and slot them as soon as you can. Recovery, health, and armor. This side of it, however, you want to put 15 into here to unlock this. Put 10 in here to unlock this. Max your health out because you get a health bonus for that. And then go for Siphon and Spells. Every time you get a kill, you get 1,500 Magicka back. That does stack, of course, with our passives for the Nightblade, where if we get a kill or something dies within 2 seconds of us damaging it with our assassination stuff, then, of course, we get 1k for that, and so on and so forth. You get lots and lots of resources back as long as you're actively in combat killing stuff. The rest of them you can get in your own time. The green tree doesn't really bloody matter. This is all quality of life. It's not going to massively affect you. However, I would recommend getting Steed's Blessing because while you're not in combat, going from one place to another, you are faster. I'd recommend getting Rationer so your food lasts longer. And of course, Liquid Efficiency so that when you use a potion, you might not actually consume it, but you still get the bonuses. Treasure Hunter is also a good passive because it gives you higher quality loot from chests. But again, this is all quality of life here. This is nothing to do with performance in content, really. Rotation, the easy part. Now, just bear in mind, by the way, we're going to grab one of these skellies. This is built to apply loads of status effects and take advantage of the extra damage that you do with those status effects. Now, you're not going to see a full dummy kill here. I'm just going to show you the buff timers or the debuff timers above his head and what you should expect. Generally speaking, most people, when they're doing some damage or whatever it is they're doing, will have maybe 1 or 2 debuffs or buffs or status effects or whatever going on. There's a lot. So if I apply this and this, start spamming shit, look how many effects are on that target. You've got constant control of status effects. It's absolutely bonkers. So that is the way that the build is designed. You're supposed to take advantage of those, and as long as you can maintain them, they do add a lot to the fight. Now, as far as the rotation is concerned, it's pretty straightforward. Beast Trap on the ground, light attack, debilitate, and then light attack, spam, crush, and shock until your bow is ready. It'll be ready once every 5 light attacks, or once every 2 heavies and a light, or 1 heavy and 3 lights. It's up to you how you manipulate that. But basically, all you need to do is maintain those. If you are doing light attacks or heavies, the bow will light up. Light attack, fire it. That's it. If you keep hold of it, you can use it for an emergency heal, and you can keep the spell damage all the time. If you fire it, then you've got to build it back up again. Bear in mind, obviously, you do want to take advantage of a heavy attack. As you can see on this particular target here, 19-second damage over time effect is quite harsh. So you do want to use that. So in the beginning of the fight, if you really want to maintain all those things, and you can keep on top of off balance, or just a 20-second timer to throw in another heavy attack, Beast Trap to start with, light attack, debilitate, or you can just wind up a heavy, then debilitate, and then start spamming. If your bow is ready, fire it. Apart from that, light attack, spam, light attack, spam, light attack, spam, over and over and over. And that's pretty much it. If your dots are about to run out, you'll debilitate on your Beast Trap, light attack, reapply them, carry on. And when you're looking at the big target dummy, same applies, but you want to start obviously with a bit of a burst. So you put down your dot, wind up your heavy, ulti, dot, bow, spam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bow, and just consistently maintain that. And that's it. Whenever your bow is ready, fire it. Whenever your dots are about to run out, recast them. And keep it up. Now, if you are hitting that dummy there, and you're just spamming and spamming and spamming. Maintain a heavy attack every 20 seconds. You want to keep the dot, obviously. But you're looking at about 90, maybe 91. And if you're lucky, you can get 92. But it's around the 90 part, DPS-wise. About 90k. In content, that can obviously vary quite dramatically depending on what you've got in your group. And it depends on how low the health is on the boss. Because obviously your execute is very, very powerful. If you are not using the bow and you just maintain it so that you can have an emergency heal when you want, your 400 weapon and spell damage will stay with you all the time, so your damage is more consistent. There's less dips. Actually, finishing the fight on that dummy, the comparison is about 3k. So if you're getting 90 to 92 with the bow, you're looking at about 87 to 89-ish without it. So it's still very, very consistent. It's still really, really nice. Just remember, by the way, when it gets to execute rotations, you maintain everything you were already doing. So you keep up your beast trap, you keep up your debilitate, and you just spam this. You spam impale. Don't use the bow at execute. Do not use the bow at execute. Keep that weapon and spell damage bonus. That can stay with you the whole time, and you just spam, 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 spam. If you are using the asylum weapon and you want to maintain your procs for your status effect, obviously don't forget your heavy attack occasionally, and be sure to weave in, at least between a 5-second gap, 2 crushing shocks. So while you're doing this, keep an eye on your status chance up the top there, with your status applied. 1, spammy, 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 spam, spam, spam. 2, and just maintain it. That will take a bit of practice. It's not the end of the world if you don't do it, but under 25%, you want to be spamming impale, weave in a couple of crushing shocks occasionally. So, now it's time for fashion. So we've got no helmet on whatsoever, by the way, so forget that one. The chest we're using is an ancient orc robe, alongside Fang Lair light shoulders, Imperial gloves 1, so that's light also, light Dramathra belt, no pants, because we've got a dress, and we are using Dramathra light shoes. Now you can just about see the blue under there, that's not important either way though. And also Blood Rage staff. Now this is acquired via purchase or promotion or event, so I don't remember where it came from, but that's what we're using. Anything else is fine, just make it glow a little bit. Color-wise, we are basically using red and black, but the colors we're using are Card Sharp Crimson, and the black is the Legate's Black. Any will do, it doesn't really matter, but those are the colors we're using. There's a slight gold being used on the staff, but you can barely see it because it's glowing red all the time from Relentless Focus anyway. And that's about it. Very simple rotation. Dot, dot, spam, spam, fire your bow, continue. Doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. If you want to have more survival, use the other variant, which is in the gear section. So, obviously, first of all, thank you very much for watching. I hugely appreciate your support. If you are not subscribing already, hit that button. It's free. And don't forget the notification bell so you know when new videos go live. Also, if you want to follow on socials or support on Patreon or even buy me a coffee, there are links below for those. Thank you again very much for your support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.